Alright, let's break it down. You got bricks up here surviving. Crack down the middle of it, high heat condition. Crack's getting hotter. Blew off half the face of that brick. Abruptly, too. We have a sharp, jagged edge there. The crack's getting wider. Crack's getting wider and hotter. See this hot material? See, it was a brick though. See the red brick in there, and the crack's getting wider and hotter. And look what happens here. Boom! We have the gray potato crisp limestone, the birth of it, in stages right there. Boom! Stages. Potato crisp limestone. There it is. See? In here. Down there, down below. A little different, eh? Because there's water down there in the canal. That's why it looks a little bit different. You have to factor all that in. That's why we have such major differences between the material. Just, very close to each other, very big differences. Now, let's go back to this. If you look over here, these bricks continue and they're turned into limestone. The same course. These joints are expanded too. Wow, look at that. They were all perfect like this. And look at how expanded that is. All the way down, expanded all the way down. Fused right into the brick. And this brick has fused into its joint. You can barely make it out right there. See, there's some of it right there, but it's fused into it. Into a calcite limestone. The mortar obviously had a higher melting point than the brick. The brick had already got tired, turned to a calcite limestone. It was hot and molten, and the mortar here, which has a much higher quartz content in this case, had a higher melting point. It had to get out of there somehow. It had to get out. The aggregate was not reached its melting point. It hadn't reached its melting point. So it was still hard. While this stuff was getting soft, doing a dance, you could see. That's why this stuff, when it has a high quartz content, it squeezes out like this, like silly putty, like peanut butter paste, see? And it will squeeze out like that. See how hot it was? The brick and the joint here, and it blew off the face of that brick. You ain't kidding. Unburnt material, unburnt brick in there still, black soot, contaminated specimen there, and these specimens are almost cooked clean of their impurities, damn near white, and lots of lime and calcium coated on the outsides, invading the entire wall. But the whole wall was just like this, perfect courses all the way down. This one has lifted. This was down here flush with this one. This brick was. And you ain't kidding, see? Face of that one blew out too. And there's moss growing in it. That moss has a feast on that stuff when there's water present. If there's water, that moss, and there's brick, you can expect the moss to be there quickly. And the wall is fallen over. Same wall on the other side of the canal. Same red bricks, but they're turned to limestone. Same there. And some of them still have stamps on them too. Piece of porcelain in there, like a teacup or something like that, or a vase or something in there. I missed. Have to go get that. Maybe a bottle in the wall too. I find that sometimes in the walls and in the ruins you find stuff got tossed up somehow. Has a stamp on it still, but look at the edge of that brick. Here's this side's pretty good still, but look at that. Look at that. Smashed down and tired. Smashed and tired. Look at this. And this one on this side has fused into the mortar joint up above here. This mortar joint has fused into it, turned gray because of it, all the lime in it. And now it's, see right here, fusion. So in this case, the mortar had reached its melting point, hence why you can't really see the aggregate anymore. It's turned into the limestone. It's all reacting and turning into one solid mass, one solid material. A new material, which is a calcite limestone, in this case. Along this wall, it's beautiful the way it sweeps a bend in here. The moss having a feast on just the brick part too. Just like, see, the cement render doesn't really want that as much, but it wants that exposed brick down here. And here's something, and that's the wall for this side, this part here. It had a wall just like this on this side, but it's all laying in chunks on this side and that side, all down the whole canal. Severely damaged. And this is a wall. Here it is. And it's lying on the floor. See? That wall is too over there. It came off of there on the floor now. This was, and on this side, on the other side, there's a canal like this going into the subterranean megaplex. And here's the wall. These are all bricks. Some of them still have stamps on this wall too. And up there too, look at this. There's a brick in the up the top. In that big chunk of melt limestone up there, a brick underneath, all in there. There's some, in here. You can see. And if you look carefully, see right there? Few left survivors right there. Far left. Perfect courses on top of each other, see? The whole wall the whole wall, you'll find stuff like this everywhere, polka dotted around in this area. And you can see where the bricks were. They were all the same size brick. They were all perfect. Now it's all solid mass, one material. All this is. And all throughout this big solid mass, you'll just find random perfect bricks like this. Absolutely no reason for them to be where they are. And they're everywhere. There they are, right there, see? All over the joint. But there's 3 of them right there. Now we're looking up, and why would they have cut that notch right there, eh? They would have had to rappel down to cut this, to carve that. What they carve it with in the 1850s? See the chunk? This was bricks that were fastening in this beam, this girder up here. So iron doesn't rust. Another beam sticking out up there, everywhere, and there's pipes sticking out of the ground. The top's very castle-esque looking up there. There's a big, huge entrance up there, and not sure what was there. Maybe a bridge going into it, I think, because it's very high up. You'll see in a moment. I think I've seen a photograph of this before. This was blocked up in our time, or like in the last century. And I've seen a photograph of this before it was blocked up with it open. See that like castle type top, and that's street level up there. These are all bricks, same thing. If you look closely, turn the limestone, but here's the mortar still. The joint is still attached to it, the mortar joint. Here's the brick, turn the limestone, yellow limestone. It was red brick. Some of them have stamps on them still, like these. Some of them have stamps, you'll find. And then there's a piece of lumber from just behind me here. I'll show you in a moment. It's kind of cool. Bricks in here have stamps. The red one there. All the limestone around here is the same thing. You gotta look closely, see? They're just the same thing, just melted out and expanded and whatnot. Mortar joint around. This is a brick inside. And these. So these are part of that thing here. I'll show you this again. Looking at this, and these things up close now. That piece of wood, that lumber right there, is from this, and these are all busted out and damaged, and they're all the those nails that have been driven into this render, this cement render. So these are made of, this is all brick. The wall behind is brick. The canal wall is brick under here, and they've been surface rendered with a cement of some kind, and it's beautiful stuff. And when you look at this, they have driven the nails through it. So this would have had to have been soft, but then how do you get the lumber fastened on? Unless they just inserted it into here, but I don't see anything that they've nailed it in though, so it's weird. It's been nailed right through the cement, on the inside of here too. I'll show you the next one. And see the bottom, the bricks turned to the limestone, and these probably surviving out so well because they're protruded first of all, and there was wood on them, and the wood was like in an upright position too. It wasn't like going across the canal; it was like upright. See, And if you go to the next one, wait, where's my next shot? Oh yeah, right there. So this one's a different shape. You see the cement has clusters blown out, but then the metal does not rust in these nails, first of all, and they're driven through the, it must have been driven through the wet cement, and then I'm not sure how they would have fastened the wood onto it so tight fitting though, and how that would have stayed on if this was wet. I don't get how, I'm missing something here. I'm not getting how this works. These are all driven through the, see, right through the cement. So wouldn't that would have had to have been wet, and then the wood would have had to have been, and they're driven in from that way though. They're driven in from behind. So maybe these timbers were probably anchored in the ground then, for that to have been so. These would have had to have been anchored in the ground. These first before these nails got driven into them from behind. These would have had to have been anchored down, or else they would have just fell over. See, they're driven from right through the cement, so these would have had to have been in the ground. These timbers would have been in the ground, upright. I don't know what this whole thing was even. The wall, it's not a hillside. It looks like a hillside, but no, look. It's just the same thing. They're all moss having a feast up there too on that stuff. It looks like a hill, but it's just a wall. There's the iron oxide, carbon rich 14 stuff. And yeah, this is all the same stuff here. The same limestone from the walls crashed down. There's a really damaged brick there. I thought it was a piece of asphalt at first, but there was no tar in it. It just crumbles to dust, but it was very hard aggregate in here. And not a very asphalty type aggregate. And it's got iron oxide on the sides. And it was very square. The same size as the other bricks too. I should have put the brick next to it and took a shot, but I didn't. But no tar, no sticky tar in it. Just a very uh, cooked out, coalified, like coal almost brick. And there's like another like piece of crete right there, kind of like a glassy piece, and you see the viscous holes in it and such. And then all this big clump, there's a brick in it with a stamp on it too. And a big clump of limestone all fused together with all this water that was draining around the material and melted it together into a big glob. All right, here, so the heat always comes from the bottom usually and blew off a lot of the cement render, and then you can see underneath all the bricks dancing around underneath here. See what they were doing? They were shrinking down and they were turning around, breaking up. And this here is actually a crete from the brick. This is the inside where the render's blown off. Over on this side, the render is still intact on this side. It's still covering, but this side, it's been exposed, and you can see the inside is a lot of this is the aggregate from the bricks breaking up into little pieces. And they're all the same. There's tons, and some of these pieces still feel like the brick material. And then if you look on there, oh wait, I have a better shot of this closer. Hang on. Smooth as a baby's bottom too still. In some areas are just in this moss growing down here. There's kind of sandy stuff down here too, very sandy, ashy stuff at the very base. Very sandy and ashy. You kind of see that ashy stuff right there. A little pool of melt came down the corner of this. And this is a rounded edge too on this cement right there. This is like a nice rounded edge. There's like fancy stuff going on here. But something leaked down out of here, like a mortar joint, like leaked through here and pulled up. And there's like a little pool of crete right there, kind of just hanging off the very bottom, just barely hanging off the bottom. See? And there's a little pile of crete came down the corner of that, where that rounded edge met the flat wall. And then the bricks are just turning and dancing. See, the heat comes from the bottom. Usually the most damage coming from down here, you see. And there's a pipe in there, there's a pipe in the wall right there. And you see right where this rounded edge right here met this flat wall. There's like a mortar joint that came from the bricks up above that just kind of cascaded down this way and stopped right there. Just before hitting the ground, it stopped. And then, oh yeah, I gotta zoom out. There we go. Oh, there's a better shot. See, so there's a flat surface right there. It's not a stone. It's a brick, a flat surface brick like these ones. See the right angle there, the bottom of this one. And then that was this one hadn't shrunk down yet or broke. This one's the same. This is the size they all were. And then the rest of them have just shrunk down, broken up, and then into this stuff, broken up more into this stuff behind all this cement. This is going on, turning into this stuff. And then, yeah, pretty crazy little bricklets here. No reason to ever do this in the middle of a concrete wall, and there's no way that concrete walls get built without rebar here. It looks like a concrete, but the aggregate's very inconsistent. You can see very large, inconsistent aggregate. Now, the moss is only on these bricks. It wants that red brick. It just wants that iron oxide. Oops. See? It's like specifically on the bricks here, trying to get that iron oxide out of them. That's what it wants. This stuff pasting around the surface, the render is pasting around like silly putty everywhere too. There's a pipe in there. I love these colors too, and how this stuff blows out. The masonry blows out like that. It's different colors. And some of it kind of crystallized, like quartz looking stuff too. Even there's like quartzite pieces on the bricks. See? Little pieces of quartzite. So we had a reaction here, a mineral reaction. You can see how flat and perfect the render was too on the outside of this stuff, how perfect it was applied. And it does seem to have been done by hand. This stuff seems to have been done by hand. You can see, I'll show you here. Look at the bricks. Have all this hot scoring, and this stamp almost looks like it's turned around. Oh wait, no, that's right. Yeah, AP. Okay, I thought the stamp was turned around on that brick, but it's not. See the bricks here, peeking out. Turned to limestone too. It looks like already. Yep. Fusing into this. The render is bleeding into all of it. Here, see, look at all this dripping down. Corner of a brick there, dripping down. Hot surfaces fusing into the mortar joint right there, which you can barely make out. The mortar joint's turning into like the same material. See, you can barely make it out. Peanut butter render, silly puttying itself all over the place, and then the moss having a feast on the carbon. Oh, that moss has been there, baby. That moss has been there feeding. Pool of pebblecrete at the bottom. Beautiful pieces of like quartz and stuff that are just from the bricks turning around and breaking up. In a hole underneath. In a hole underneath, probably some animals in there. A brush finish, so, and it looks to be hand done. So hand brush finish right there. So they were building stuff, and I wait to see it at the end here, because we've been finding evidence of possible construction at the time of the event, and I found some more. I'll show you that in a moment too. But so, I mean, obviously, it seems like it would be very unlikely that they've actually built everything in this world that we see. That would be everything, all the lands. Everything is construction everywhere. But they were building to some degree. They were building some of it. It's very interesting. Like, some stuff they seem to have built by hand, like themselves. Some things seem to just be not. some things are just not, like, too perfect. But yeah, very interesting. And look at the blowout on the render there too, in the corners here. And the moss having a feast here. And hot surfaces, see the hot scoring on the bricks there. And this could be threaded today even. You probably wouldn't even have to clean the threads up. You could probably just thread that the way it is, sticking out of the ground. There's tons of things like this all over the place here. Don't know what any of it is, or how anybody would know how to service any of that stuff, because it's everywhere on this site. Pipes out of the walls like this everywhere coming out. They were all exposed and stuff too. It's like, how would they know how to service this stuff? Crazy. A lot of it may not have been, it may have been self-service. It may have been just kind of a self-servicing kind of thing, it seems like. That's why we see so many facets to all this stuff that don't make sense. Like, why they add this little facet here and all this. You say, like, for structural integrity, but I think a lot of this stuff is just because of its self. It may be just kind of self-supporting itself in certain ways for whatever it's doing. But then the wall is broken off. Half the wall on the top is gone. See? On the floor down here. And you can see the bricks kind of still in the inside of those blocks. And this. Look at the hole. Look at the hole. Now here's what happened. So up here where the cement has, like, this render has survived up here, when you look, there's a hole up here, and that's the brick inside behind this render up over here. This is the brick inside turned to vomit. And something happened here. It got really hot and it bulged out and spilled over the edge. Now look over here. Same thing happening. It almost spilled over too. Look. There was about to be a second one of these U things here. The render already blew off of it because I think it got so expanded out so wide it probably blew the render off. But that's inside of here. That was the brick. That's your Pebblecrete behind this render. You kind of see behind the render there too. Same material, that very pebbly crete, limestoney crete, see? Behind the render. And it blew off here, but look at this, was bulging way out, and it was about to do the same dance as this did. Big hole just melted right out of the wall. Look at that. You can see it spilled out too. Just spilled out. This was about to do the same thing, but it cooled just in time. Like, just in time. It was like about to drip over. Crazy. So that's that. There's the big door way up top. This was all finished. This whole wall was not old and rustic looking. It was beautiful and finished. Beautiful finish on all of it. Sharp edges, all this, like this. Look at all the metal fast. Oh wow, that metal is, I didn't see all that. That's a lot of metal up there fastened into the top. Wow. It's all broken too, broken shit. Yeah. Now the finish was all nice and flat and smooth like this. Not all rustic and crap looking like they tell us. No, siree, Bob. So that's way up there. See how high it is? That door? There had to have been a bridge, like an iron trestle or something going into that. I don't know what else I had before. I've been up there under the street. Like, you can get in there pretty easily, just by going into this underworld over here. Because you pretty much end up under the street right there anyway. So, not sure what that was. It went right to the mill though, straight to the sea mill. Pillsbury. There's where we were. There's the wall. You can see it much better now. Crashed on the floor. It was all right there. Here it is on the floor. Same wall with all the red bricks. All this limestone was red brick. And they're still in the wall we saw already a while back. And there's the mills on top. Pillsbury, A mill, B, and C. The door is way up there on the top. Probably had a trestle. There's framework underneath here. There's two girders and there's two beams in the girder right there. at the base, so there's probably a trestle going into it. Very castle-y looking. Some of the renders survive at the top. Heat's coming from the bottom. An exhaust stack of some kind at the mill, and they're all connected. You can see all these buildings, all three of them. And the bricks are blackened, not by weather. Look at the mortar is still clean. This is heat damage, not weather. The black is not weather soot. It is charcoal soot. Now this is the continuation of this wall that angles in perfectly straight all the way here. They say they carved it, the bedrock. How? How in the 1850s did they do that? You know, give me a break. And look at it closer. The bricks are still there on top. They're still all there. See? They're just limestone now. Cooked out into limestone, but they were all bricks. And the bottom's a solid mass. And yeah, so apparently they say it's a invasive plant removal site. And look at the plants; they do tear up the ruins pretty bad. Those roots and all the trees. So I started to pull some vines and stuff. I started to expose a bunch of stuff. It would be pretty easy to change the look of this place in the summertime if you went like batshit crazy right now, because this stuff is easy to remove. It's almost as good as dead, you know, like it breaks, like it's dry almost, like very easy to break. But that is the continuation of the wall going to the very top, joining in with this wall, which is a solid mass on this side and blocked up on the other side. Makes no sense at all. Nothing here adds up to the story they give us. Okay. I thought I saw something in one of these shots. I thought I saw a hole over there, but I guess no. And this is where I found some evidence of something of possible construction during the event, when the event happened. So I've been finding strange false work imprints around the Twin Cities, negative imprints, like you see here where the wood false work has been taken down. You can see where the wood boards were joined up, like two of them here and this one below, and you can see all that. And this is like concrete and rebar on this side. The other side of the same structure is brick, but it's all old and damaged. Not sure what it was even. And when you look at, so I've been finding, this is a negative imprint. I've been finding positive imprints where the wood's been left behind and rendered over. But this is a negative imprint. And look at what is going on around the side here. So I come up around here, and there, look. They must have been in construction. They must have been building like when this event happened. See, this is still in place. It's anchored in with. Wait, I had a better shot. Of it. Right here. Some of the false work's still up. It's still resting on these anchors they put in. These anchors. It's actually nailed in like the other stuff, nailed into the cement there with huge old iron nails. There's two of them. There's one over here too. The wood seems to be like more possibly heat damage on the sides. The two sides over here, this one too. A little bit heat damage on that side, but for the most part, pretty much intact. It's flush with the line below it and parallel with it, and it's resting up on this here like it was ready to go. Like they were in the middle of construction. See, bringing the anchors down as they were pouring. See. So it tells you some of the techniques that they were using too. They were lowering these anchors as they went along. Or raising them, I mean. Or, yeah, raising them this way. Interesting though. And it's all right there in place, nailed in with those old style iron nails, like big square head ones. They're all muffed up, but they were squares. It's still in place, and they've painted over it and whatnot, but that was kind of cool. I don't know what this little notching is up here, something strange. Maybe something was fastened into it. And you can see that kind of just morphs into the melted section of the wall over here on this side. And this is new. The staircase is new, and all this stuff is new here, but not the structure of the walls around here. And this is all gray limestone now, but why would one yellow brick be alright? Who would have okayed that and not have gotten fired for doing that? It throws the whole wall off. And you can see where they join. There's metal in the wall too. So I don't know what's going on here. Why the metal in the wall? Well, that might be rebar going through. Because those two sides seem to be like concrete, possibly in rebar, and this side seems to be all brick with render. This side. Hard to say though. There's the board going in there, and the bricks are just completely pulverized. Lots of paint in here though. And cinder blocks lying loose, and pile of vomit. This is Pebble Creek's vomit. There's a brick right there next to it. Now we're going to the top, looking down all these crazy. And there's a bridge. That arch bridge goes all the way across, and they're repairing it now. Since I've done that video and exposed the terrible condition of the mortar on this bridge, they're doing a mortar project now. And they're repairing. They're doing all the pointing on the bridge. Half of the bridge for 1 year, and the other half will take another year, 2 years to do just the pointing too, just the pointing, touching up the mortar and such. Yet they can build cathedral buildings in a year in 1893. There is the city, Minneapolis, at the top of the staircase. That's the A mill to be in. We've been to that structure. We've been all around it. There's no door besides the canal entrance at the bottom. It's built this way, and there's more of them along the side there. It's part of the power plant. This one goes into the power plant, and there's only the entrance, which is behind there, a tunnel shaft going into it this way, and there's nothing in there really that I remember. But there's this entrance up here behind, and then there's one at the bottom, which is a canal entrance, like 3 stories down. It's a very strange subterranean megaplex here. There was some explorers down there, that's why the lid's open. This one goes to the Pillsbury Mills. We used to take this one to the mills, but apparently they have security, pretty tight security now, so I don't know where they went. But this can go many different places, so I'm not sure where they went. Somewhere though, so I might be interested in seeing what's going on there. They're probably getting into Satan's Cave that way. And that's what my guess would be, is Satan's Cave, which is, it goes from, there's a tunnel, like that tunnel right there, which is behind me here, where I'm standing, goes underneath the river onto one of the islands, Nicollet Island, just past this building. It goes under, all the way under to the island, and that's where the kids are going, is the Satan's Cave over there on the island. But usually I thought they entered I thought that tunnel was closed, that one that went underneath, for a while though. I'm not sure. Maybe they found somewhere else to go, I don't know. There's the power plant still used today. I think like 15% is still hydropower. They use a few of the retainer gates, and they, like a turbine or two, but the rest of it's done by different means, they say. Which there seems to be so, for the most part, because most of it's in ruins. It's all been updated, see? But there's the building, heat damaged, blackened, and the bricks on the floor. This goes down like 3 levels further than right there. So there's 3 levels here, but it goes 3 more down and past this 3rd one. Very deep and creepy down there. Very wet and creepy in that underneath that building. And look at the mortar has vacated from the bricks right there. See, the mortar joints are still present there, but then they vacated and crumbled out and whatnot all the way down that row. And the railing has lifted off its foundation, and look at all the paint that has been blown off of it and burnt off and such. These aren't birds picking the paint off, not squirrels. This is 7 inches off. It's floating in the air right there. And the other side just fell off, see? And all this paint damage is heat damage too. See the paint? You could say it's sun bleaching and whatnot, but look at all the stuff ripped off of it. People aren't picking at this and touching it. Squirrels aren't doing it. Birds aren't doing it. How did this much paint come off? It's like metallic. It's like metal almost. It's very hard paint. You can damn near get cut by the chips of this paint almost, and it's very difficult to just pick it off. At ease. It doesn't come off easy, but here it is, completely blown off the entire railing, and the railing has been sheared off. I don't know. Look at this, melted right off of the foundation. I got a better shot. Look right here. There was no rust going on. It was thick all the way through, perfect. No deterioration, no rust or anything. It was still no rust today even. It's still silver. I mean, look at it. It just melted over and broke. Right out of its foundation. And then, look at the paint. No one's touching this railing at all. Nobody's touching it. I sat there for an hour. Nobody touched it once. And look at this. It's all smoothed over too. Just melted right off. And now they have it wired up to this old world power pole right there to it, which still remains. And it's just floating right there. And then this side is still fine, but it's all bent. This is an iron pole railing. We don't do that today with robust materials like this. In a nice masonry foundation, we don't do that today. We use Chinese plasti metals, hybridized plasti metals and plasti steels, not iron poles. But yeah, nobody's touching the railing, so how did this paint come off all the way down here and all this stuff here? Blown off in the event. And the railing's sticking up, lifts off its foundation. The drive is bricks, and they're original from this point onward. Behind me, the rest of the drive is new. It's been redone terribly too. You can see how flat it is still even. Somewhat. It's pretty lumpy though. Got pretty damaged, but the new side is actually crumbling to dust way worse than this side is. The new side is just absolutely terrible. They probably have to redo it this year already. And this has been holding up for who knows how long. Anywho, take care. Love you all and stay safe. God bless. And be weather aware out there.